Captain's boots echoed softly against the metallic floor as he stepped into the alien laboratory. The place was unlike anything he had ever seen, tall walls that seemed alive, poolsing with colors that shifted constantly as if they were breathing. Strange mist hovered in the air, carrying a faint, sweet scent that made his stomach twist. His heart beat fast, both from excitement and fear. Every instinct in his body screamed that this was dangerous, but he had come too far to turn back. A soft, clicking sound made him freeze. From the shadows emerged the alien caretaker, a being with 6 delicate limbs and translucent skin. Its eyes were enormous, almost fragile, and glowed with a pale light. It held a small vial floating in the air between 2 of its hands. "For your protection," it whispered, its voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. "This will unlock what you are meant to become." Took a deep breath, staring at the vial. The liquid inside shimmered like liquid glass, moving as though alive. His mind raced with questions. What am I about to do? What will happen to me? But he pushed the fear aside. He had faced countless dangers in his career, war zones, rogue planets, hostile aliens, and he had never backed down. He swallowed hard and took the vial in his own hands. The alien tilted its head, observing him closely. "Do not fear, you will feel change," it said softly, almost like a promise. But's heart thudded with doubt. Something about the alien's voice made him question whether it fully understood what it had in store. Still, there was no turning back. He needed answers. He needed to understand what humans could truly become. Sitting on the smooth, cold bench, unwrapped the vial. He felt the liquid against his skin as he prepared the injection. A shiver ran down his spine. "What am I doing?" he whispered to himself. The alien's gaze stayed locked on him, silent now, waiting. With a sharp inhale, pushed the needle into his arm. The liquid slipped in, cool and heavy, moving under his skin like water in a river. At first, nothing happened. Flexed his hand and frowned. Was that it? Nothing? He felt a strange calm settle over him, almost like sleepiness mixed with warmth. He leaned back, trying to shake off the tension. But then a prickling sensation crawled through his veins. His heart raced, and a buzzing sound filled his ears. It was not painful, but it was unlike anything he had ever felt. His muscles twitched, stretching as though waking from a deep sleep. Panic surged. Reflection in the polished metal wall distorted. He looked taller, his arms slightly longer. He flexed his fingers, watching them stretch unnaturally. What did you inject me with?" His voice trembled. The alien's enormous eyes widened, filled with a strange mixture of awe and fear. For the first time, realized that this experiment had gone far beyond simple enhancement. Something had awakened inside him, something powerful and unpredictable. A surge of energy coursed through him. He stood, feeling strength ripple in every muscle. The walls of the laboratory seemed small now, fragile. Could sense the alien watching him closely, almost afraid of the human before it. He wanted to ask questions, to demand answers, but the words stuck in his throat. Instead, he just looked at his own hands, trembling with both fear and excitement. He felt alive in a way he never had before. Every sense was sharper, every thought faster. Yet beneath the thrill, a wave of loneliness hit him. The alien had changed him, yes, but at what cost? Could he control this new power? Could he remain human? The questions gnawed at him as he realized that his life had already shifted irreversibly. Took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. He was alone in this alien laboratory, far from Earth, far from the people he cared about. Yet something inside him had shifted, a flicker of hope, a spark of something extraordinary. Whatever came next, he knew one thing: he would not be the same man who walked into this room. The first night after the injection was the hardest. Captain lay on the cold metal bed of the alien laboratory, staring at the ceiling as the strange, pulsing lights shifted above him. Every muscle in his body felt alive, tingling with a strange energy he could not understand. At first it was subtle, a twitch in his fingers, a shiver through his spine, but then it grew stronger. His arms stretched slightly, his legs felt heavier, yet more powerful. He could feel his body changing, rewriting itself from the inside out. Panic bubbled up inside him. "What is happening to me?" he whispered into the empty room. His reflection in the metallic wall shimmered like water. His face looked the same, yet sharper, more intense. He flexed his fingers, watching them move in ways that felt unnatural. Each breath made his chest feel enormous, as if his lungs could fill with infinite air. His mind raced. He had trained his body for decades, but this was beyond anything humanly possible. He sat up, swinging his legs over the edge of the bed. The floor seemed closer now, yet heavier under his feet, as though gravity itself had changed for him. His heart pounded not with fear, but with a strange exhilaration. He touched his arms, feeling muscles that were stronger than any human could ever grow. And yet, underneath the excitement, a seed of terror grew. He was no longer certain where ended and the injection began. A sudden movement in the corner caught his eye. The alien caretaker hovered there, observing him silently. You feel it, it said softly, almost in awe, shook his head. Feel what? I feel wrong, I feel powerful, too powerful. His voice cracked, tinged with both fear and wonder. The alien did not answer. Its eyes were wide, filled with something he could not read, pride, fear, regret. Tried to stand. His legs carried him like springs, bending and stretching with ease. He moved to the window, or what passed for one in the alien laboratory, and looked out at the barren landscape beyond. The alien world stretched endlessly, strange mountains rising like jagged teeth, rivers of light flowing in patterns his mind could barely comprehend. He realized with a shock that he could sense everything, the faintest movement outside, the whispers of the wind, even the alien machines in distant halls. The sensation was intoxicating, yet terrifying. He tried to control it, to calm the storm inside, but it was impossible. Every heartbeat made him stronger, faster, sharper. He clenched his fists and felt energy explode through his veins. And then came the questions, more frightening than the power itself. Am I still human, or am I something else entirely? His reflection rippled again in the metal wall. The face looking back at him was familiar, yet alien. Hours passed, experimented cautiously, touching the walls, bending metal with ease, even moving small objects without touching them. The alien watched silently, a mixture of fear and fascination in its eyes. You were meant to grow, it whispered, but you are beyond what we imagined. Felt a strange pride at the words, yet it made the pit in his stomach deepen. The alien had wanted to help, but in doing so it had created something unpredictable, something unstoppable. Exhaustion eventually hit him, but it was not the kind of tiredness he had known on long missions. It was the strain of being more than human. Every nerve, every muscle, every thought screamed for attention. He fell back onto the bed, staring at the ceiling, and for the first time, tears welled up in his eyes, not because he was afraid of dying, but because he felt alone. The world he had known, the world of humans, of comrades, of familiar limits, was gone. He was now something else. And yet, underneath the fear, a spark burned. He could survive this. He could control it. Maybe, just maybe, humans could rise to meet even the impossible. Clenched his fists again, feeling the raw power in his veins. Whatever this injection had done, he realized one thing: he would not be a victim. He would not be a mistake. He would adapt. He would grow. But first, he needed to understand what he had become, and how far this new strength could take him. And for that, he knew he would have to face the alien world that had created him. By the time the second sun of the alien planet rose, Captain already knew that staying in the lab was impossible. The metal walls that had seemed protective now felt like a cage. Every nerve in his body pulsed with power he barely understood, and every instinct screamed that he needed to leave. He stood in the central hall, hands brushing against the metallic surfaces. The walls bent slightly under his touch, rippling like water. He could break them if he wanted. But it was not just the physical change that terrified him. He had begun to feel the alien machines around him, the faint hum of energy from deep in the laboratory, even the heartbeat of the alien caretaker. His senses were sharper than humanly possible, and every sound, every movement, every light seemed. He realized that the injection had not only changed his body, it had changed the way he experienced the world. A soft hiss came from behind him. The alien caretaker appeared, trembling. You must stay, you are dangerous outside. Its voice shook his head, feeling both pity and frustration. I cannot stay, he said. This power, it's not meant for a cage, I have to go. The alien's enormous eyes widened in panic, but it said nothing else. He moved to the first door, the one that led to the outer corridors. Normally, it would have been locked tight, placed his hands on the smooth metal, and it bent under his strength. The locks twisted and snapped with a quiet metallic scream. He pushed the door open and felt the cool alien wind hit his face. The sky was a swirl of orange and purple, jagged mountains rising like silent sentinels. Felt his heart soar. He had never felt so alive. But freedom came with fear. Scouts patrolled the outer perimeter, sleek and silent, moving with precision. Had seen them before, observed their patterns, and now he tested his new abilities. He leapt forward, landing on the ground with a force that barely made a sound. He ran faster than his eyes could follow, dodging the first scouts with ease. He twisted midair, kicking aside an approaching drone, feeling the raw strength in his limbs. Each movement filled him with exhilaration and fear. He realized that while he could outrun and overpower these alien machines, the more he used his strength, the more aware the planet became of him. Energy pulses from distant towers seemed to react, scanning, adapting. Understood then that escape was not only about speed, it was about cunning. He ducked into a narrow canyon, the rocky walls feeling like soft velvet under his touch, and for the first time he allowed himself to pause. His chest heaved with exhaustion, but it was not ordinary tiredness. Every step, every leap, every dodge had stretched his body beyond anything human. He felt alive, yes, but a deep loneliness settled in. This power had made him extraordinary, yes, but it had also made him alone. And yet in that loneliness, a fire sparked. He was human, and humans did not break, they adapted. He could feel the intelligence in his enhanced mind calculating, analyzing, finding a path forward. He could see the patterns of the scouts, the weak points in the alien defenses, the paths that would lead him to safety. He was not just surviving, he was learning to dominate his own destiny. Hours passed. The alien world stretched endlessly, dangerous and beautiful, but moved with purpose. He leapt over rivers of glowing liquid, climbed jagged cliffs with ease, and avoided patrols with a mixture of intuition and raw power. Every step tested him, but every test also proved that he could control this new self. Finally, he reached the edge of the laboratory complex, looking back at the towering spires that had held him. The alien caretaker's gaze followed him from the windows, a mixture of hope and fear shining in its eyes. Took a deep breath, feeling the wind on his face. He was no longer the man who had walked into that lab hours ago. He was stronger, faster, and smarter than any human should be, but he was still human at his core. He stepped into the open world, alone but unstoppable, ready to face whatever lay beyond the alien horizon. His escape was not just physical. It was the first step toward becoming something greater, something that could survive, adapt, and perhaps even conquer the impossible. Captain had barely taken a full breath outside the alien laboratory when he realized he was not alone. Across the glowing plains, sleek black scouts moved silently, their shapes barely visible in the alien light. They had been sent to retrieve him, or perhaps destroy him. He could sense them before he even saw them, the faint hum of their engines, the vibrations in the ground, even the subtle shift in the air currents around them. Every instinct in his enhanced body screamed danger. He ran, the ground beneath him barely slowed him, his new strength letting him cover vast distances in seconds. Yet even as he ran, he knew speed alone would not save him. The scouts were intelligent, coordinating their movements, anticipating his path. His mind, sharper and faster than ever, calculated their strategies as he leapt over jagged rock formations and twisted rivers of glowing liquid. Each movement was precise, his body a perfect instrument of survival. A sharp crack sounded behind him. A scout had fired a magnetic net designed to trap him. The net stretched unnaturally as he bent it aside with one hand, feeling the raw power in his muscles. His heart raced, but it was not fear, it was focus. Every motion, every thought, every breath had to be perfect. One mistake and he could be captured or destroyed. The alien planet itself seemed alive, responding to his presence. Winds shifted violently, kicking up dust storms that hid him from distant scouts. He could feel the faint pulse of energy from the alien towers, scanning for him, reacting to his strength. Realized then that he was no longer just running for survival. He was testing the limits of his own abilities. He could see patterns in the chaos, predicting every move, adapting faster than the machines chasing him. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Had leapt across canyons, scaled cliffs, and darted through alien forests whose trees glowed with strange bioluminescence. The scouts were relentless, but he was relentless too. Each encounter taught him more about his new body, his new senses, and the terrifying power that now lived inside him. He could crush stone with his hands, leap over vast distances, and sense movement from miles away. And yet in the midst of triumph, loneliness gnawed at him. There was no human presence here, no friend to cheer him, no voice to remind him that he was still one of them. The power that had saved him also set him apart. He was extraordinary, yes, but at what cost? He clenched his fists, feeling the strange energy thrumming through his veins, and promised himself that he would not lose his humanity, no matter how strong he became. A sudden shadow swept over him. Another scout, larger and faster than the rest, had appeared, blocking his path across a narrow cliff edge. Froze, heart pounding as it glided toward him like a predator. His mind raced, calculating angles, strength, and timing. With a deep breath, he leapt upward, twisting in midair, and landed behind it. His enhanced senses had allowed him to anticipate the scout's attack, turning what could have been a trap into an opportunity. The scout shrieked, its energy pulse firing harmlessly past him. His body moved with precision, reacting faster than thought, and with a swift motion he smashed the machine against the rocks. Sparks flew and the metal twisted under his hands. He looked down at it, breathing heavily. This was not victory, it was survival, and he knew more challenges awaited. But for the first time, a fierce sense of exhilaration rose within him. He was no longer the same man who had walked into the laboratory. He was stronger, faster, and smarter than anything these aliens had faced. And though the scouts would keep coming, he understood one truth: humans were not weak. Humans adapted. Humans survived. And Captain, now something beyond human, would prove it. He moved on, the alien world stretching endlessly before him. Every shadow, every glimmer of light, every pulse of energy became both a threat and a guide. He had become the hunter of his own destiny, and nothing, not even the relentless alien scouts, could stop him. Captain moved through the alien plains, his steps light yet precise, his senses alert to every vibration in the ground. The pursuit had slowed him, but it had also given him clarity. He realized, with a mix of awe and fear, that the injection had changed more than his body. It had changed his mind. Thoughts flowed faster than ever, calculations and patterns unfolding in seconds. He could anticipate movement, predict outcomes, and understand machines and technology in ways no human had before. He paused on a cliff overlooking a valley of glowing rivers and jagged mountains. The alien world stretched beneath him like a living map, alive with light and motion. The truth hit him like a shockwave. The injection had not simply enhanced him, it had evolved him. Humans were limited by biology and perception, but now his mind soared above those limits. He could see the threads of life and energy on this planet, feel the pulse of every creature, every machine. The revelation was intoxicating, but terrifying. Sank to one knee, trying to absorb what he was becoming. With each heartbeat, each breath, he felt the alien world inside him as much as around him. He understood the caretakers, the machines, even the laboratories. They had tried to make him more than human, to push him beyond natural limits, and somehow it had worked. But with power came responsibility. He could feel it weighing on him like a shadow stretching across his mind. He was no longer just a man. He was a bridge between species, between possibilities, between worlds. A soft noise behind him made him tense. The alien caretaker appeared, floating gently on the wind. Its enormous eyes glimmered with hope and fear. "You understand now," it whispered, nodded slowly, his chest heavy with conflicting emotions. "I do," he said quietly. "I see everything, the world, your machines, your intentions. You didn't harm me, you wanted to help, but you've created something unstoppable." The caretaker's gaze dropped, a shiver passing through its limbs. "I feared this would happen," it admitted. "We wanted evolution, but perhaps not like this." Felt a pang of sympathy. The alien had acted with the best intentions, yet it had unleashed something beyond its control. He could sense the fear in its mind, and yet he also saw hope, hope that he, a human, could bear what they could not. Stood, letting the wind sweep through him, feeling every muscle, every nerve, every surge of energy. He realized something crucial. The injection had given him extraordinary power, but it had not taken his humanity. His emotions, his thoughts, his moral compass remained intact. That was what made him dangerous. That was what made him human. He could wield this power and choose how to use it. A wave of determination washed over him. He would not let the injection make him a weapon of alien design. He would not be a tool for their experiments. He would take what they had given him and turn it into something uniquely his own. Humans had survived impossible odds, adapted to harsh worlds, risen against overwhelming threats. And now, with this power, he could prove that humans were more than resilient. They were unstoppable. The alien floated closer, trembling slightly. "You will leave us?" it asked, met its gaze with quiet resolve. "I must," he said. I will survive, I will adapt, and I will grow, but I will not let anyone control what I have become, not even you." The alien nodded slowly, understanding, fear fatting into awe. As moved away from the cliff, the wind carrying him forward, he felt a deep surge of hope and purpose. He was no longer just escaping. He was embracing a future no human had ever reached. He was more than human, yet he was still human. And with that realization, he knew one undeniable truth. The universe would see what humans were truly capable of, and it would never forget. Ran into the glowing horizon, every step a declaration, every breath a promise. He was no longer a captive of alien design. He was the future of humanity, stronger, faster, wiser, and ready to face whatever challenges lay beyond the stars. Captain returned to the alien laboratory at dusk, the sky painted in deep oranges and purples. He moved silently, each step deliberate, muscles humming with raw energy. The complex that had once confined him now seemed fragile, as if it could crumble beneath his touch. Yet this time he was not escaping, he was confronting. Every sense in his enhanced body was alert, every thought sharp and precise. He needed answers, and he needed closure. Inside, the alien caretaker hovered near the central chamber, its 6 limbs trembling slightly. Its enormous eyes widened as it recognized him. "You returned," it whispered, voice trembling like the wind through tall grass, chest heaved with controlled breathing. "I needed to see the truth," he said calmly. "I needed to know why you did this, why you changed me." The alien remained silent, almost afraid to speak. "You were meant to evolve," it admitted after a long pause. "We wanted to unlock your potential, to surpass limits we could not touch ourselves, but—" its voice faltered. "Perhaps we underestimated the human mind." Felt a mix of anger, pity, and awe. The alien had given him unimaginable power, but it had done so without understanding the consequences. He had become something neither human nor alien fully understood. "I am more than your experiment," said, voice steady yet heavy with emotion. "You gave me strength, intelligence, senses, but you did not take my will. I am not your creation. I am human, and humans survive." His words echoed through the chamber, bouncing off the pulsing walls. The alien looked at him, a flicker of fear and awe crossing its face. The caretaker floated closer, trembling. We meant no harm," it said softly. "We sought growth, evolution, but now you—" Its voice broke, held up a hand, stopping it. "I understand, you did what you thought was right, but evolution is not something you can give, it must be earned. And humans, we earn our destiny with our choices, not your science." The alien looked away, silent, its form almost fragile in the glowing light of the lab. Gaze softened. Despite everything, he felt a pang of sympathy. It had acted out of hope, not malice. But hope without understanding could be dangerous, and now understood that he held the balance between what was human and what could be godlike. He stepped forward, letting his hands brush the smooth metallic walls. The lab shivered slightly under his touch. "I have power you cannot control," he said quietly, almost to himself. "But that power does not belong to you, it belongs to me and to my people." The alien looked at him, eyes wide and unblinking, as if realizing the truth for the first time. A heavy silence filled the chamber. Outside, the alien world pulsed as though waiting, felt every heartbeat of the planet, every subtle motion in the air, every distant energy pulse. He realized then that his journey was not over, not by far. But this confrontation, this understanding, was a turning point. He could wield this new strength, this new mind, not as a weapon for others, but as a force for his own humanity. Finally spoke, voice calm but firm. "I will leave this lab, I will leave your world, but I will carry what you gave me, not to serve you, but to prove what humans can endure, survive, and achieve. You may have created the means, but I decide the end." The alien nodded slowly, a mixture of sorrow and respect in its gaze. Turned toward the exit. Every step he took resonated with the power coursing through him. He was no longer a man confined by walls, machines, or expectations. He was human, yes, but a human who could rise above limits, who could challenge the impossible, who could shape his own destiny. As he walked into the glowing horizon outside, he felt a quiet triumph. He had faced the architect of his transformation, understood the truth, and claimed his own path. The universe he knew would never be the same, and neither would he. Captain stepped out of the alien laboratory into the glowing plains, feeling the wind whip across his face. The sky burned with strange colors, stars and suns intertwined in patterns that no human eye had ever seen. He looked back at the lab one last time. It was silent now, no longer a cage but a reminder of what he had endured, of what he had become. Every step he took forward was heavy with meaning, light with possibility. For the first time, he allowed himself to fully feel the power coursing through his body. Every muscle, every nerve, every thought moved in perfect harmony. He could leap across chasms that had once seemed impossible, see faint energy traces in the air, and sense the rhythm of life across the alien world. And yet, even with all this strength, he felt something more profound, a deep connection to his humanity. This was not just power. This was choice, will, and the ability to decide his own path. The alien caretaker appeared at the edge of the lab, watching silently. Its eyes glimmered with awe and fear. "You leave us," it whispered, nodded, his gaze steady. "I leave not in anger or revenge. I leave to show that humans can endure more than any alien mind imagines. We adapt, we survive, and we grow, not because someone grants it to us, but because we choose it." The alien's gaze softened. For a moment there was no fear, no uncertainty, only understanding. Could feel the respect emanating from it, a quiet acknowledgement that humanity had reached something beyond what even the aliens had expected. The caretaker lifted a limb in a subtle gesture of farewell, and felt a strange warmth, like recognition between species, between possibilities. He began to run. The plains stretched endlessly before him, rivers of light shimmering under his feet, cliffs rising like ancient guardians. He moved with grace, with power, with purpose. The alien world, once foreign and threatening, now seemed like a stage set for the extraordinary, and understood that he was no longer bound by fear, by limits, by expectations. He was human, but human elevated, human unstoppable. As he ran, memories of his old life surfaced, friends, missions, hardships, victories, losses. Every memory strengthened him. He realized that this power, no matter how alien, was only meaningful because he carried it as a human. Strength without compassion, without choice, would have been hollow. But now he was complete, a fusion of humanity's resilience and the gift of evolution. Ahead, the horizon blazed with impossible light. He felt it calling him, a future waiting beyond comprehension. The alien world receded behind him, shrinking in scale as he pushed forward. He could have stayed, ruled, even reshaped the planet with his abilities, but knew that was not his purpose. Humanity had to rise on its own terms, and he was its first example, proof that survival was only the beginning. Finally, he paused atop a ridge, wind roaring around him. Below, the alien plains stretched endlessly, alive and beautiful. He breathed deeply, feeling the pulse of the planet, the rhythm of his own heart, the flow of power within him. He lifted his arms, testing the limits, and realized there were none. And yet, with all this strength, he felt humility, understanding, and purpose. Smiled, a quiet, powerful smile that carried all the weight of his journey. He had been changed, challenged, and tested beyond imagining. He had faced fear, isolation, and the unknown, and he had risen. Humans were capable of more than anyone had believed. He could feel it in every heartbeat, every breath, every step. He began to descend the ridge, moving toward the endless horizon. The stars, the suns, the alien world, they all seemed smaller now, dwarfed by the power and potential of a single human will. Captain, human and yet beyond, had transcended. He was no longer just a survivor of an alien experiment. He was a testament to the endurance, intelligence, and limitless potential of humanity itself. And as he ran into the blazing horizon, leaving the alien world behind, he knew one undeniable truth: humans were unstoppable.